Oda just dropped a bombshell, revealing Blackbeard's true identity and how he, alongside Luffy, will forever change the world. In One Piece chapter 1059, it's confirmed Blackbeard is not only Xebec's son, he's also a descendant of the secret Davy family, which Imu tried to erase from history, but failed. 54 years ago, when Figar Land Garling learnt God Valley was harboring the Davy clan, Imu had approved a complete culling of the entire nation. Sadly, Davy D Xebec wasn't able to live on, but his son was. However, Blackbeard's survival isn't just luck. No. It's destiny. Like with every light Imu had tried to snuff out, a glimmer was always left behind. We see this time and time again, from Ohara with Robin, to the giant human buccaneer with Kuma, to even the eradication of Rorosia, whose people were saved by Sabo. Oh, and let's not forget Dr. Vegapunk. My guy also lived on in Lilith. Imu just keeps failing. But using my deep observation hockey, I have figured out why Imu relentlessly aimed to eradicate their existence. It's all because of some special bloodlines and prophecies that was made 900 to 800 years ago from the current story, taking us back to Joy Boy, Poseidon, Lily, and Davy Jones, all being key players whose descendants would carry their will and finally put an end to the devil's regime. Now, a lot of you should already know my deep canon of what went down 900 years ago, but to quickly summarize, during the First World's Cataclysm, an insane volcanic eruption led to the Red Line's formation. Sunlight Eve was wrapped around magma which had cooled down. At the same time, this tree started accepting wishes via Haki of the Living, in turn forming devil fruits. However, the aftermath led to a period where those who survived had to adapt to the new harsh climate, leading to fish folks, giants, and other races. The world, as it progressed, returned back to a state of functionality with even a higher level of civilization, i.e. the Great Kingdom. Yet other nations developed with a backwards thinking of superiority, bringing rise to slavery and oppression. This brought in Joy Boy, who had eaten the Nika fruit and used it to liberate all kinds of people. Imu gathered 20 kingdoms and declared war. After tricking Zunisha, stealing Uranus, Imu won the Great War. If you guys want a detailed video on this, then make sure to smash the like button and let me know down below. But with that out of the way, to understand how Blackbeard plays a huge part in the final war of One Piece, we have to focus on what happened next. As after the war, the ancient kingdom was left sunken in ruins. Joy Boy, near death doors, used this insane deep Haki to glimpse into the future and saw that Imu would one day be defeated by those who carry on his will. To ensure this future, Joy Boy verified the details, obtaining a prophecy with a fortune teller, likely the ancestor of Madame Charlie, who, let's not forget, accurately prophesied the coming of Poseidon and Shirahoshi, and of Luffy destroying Fishman Island, which we all know will be due to him blowing up the Red Line, bringing every fish folk to land, fulfilling Joy Boy's original promise. Regardless, Joy Boy understood from Charlie's ancestor that the end game against Imu will happen in 800 years. This prophecy that had literally paved the way for the future was set to happen in a specific era. We know this to be true because number one, Toki, the daughter of the Amatsuki shogun, had eaten the fruit that allowed her to travel through time. It was as though destiny had brought her and Odin together, giving birth to their son Momonosuke, who coincidentally became the master of Zunisha. Obviously, Toki's father was the original master and understood the importance of preserving his bloodline in order for Zunisha to play his part in the final war, hence why they sent Toki to the future. Number 2, Joy Boy, with the help of Wano, elaborated a perfect method to preserve knowledge and their secrets with the use of poneglyphs. This wouldn't be needed if Joy Boy didn't expect there to be a long period before the final final war, especially since he kept the ancient weapon and warship Pluton safe within Wano's border. Number 3. The Sea Kings in chapter 968 had also held onto a prophecy predicting an exact time period when their queen Poseidon will be reborn alongside Joy Boy, who then were expected to meet each other, and that the whales were waiting in anticipation. This prophecy was actualized after Luffy met Shirahoshi, perfectly following the timeline. When Luffy ascends from Fishmen Island, we see the whales dancing in joy as the prophecy came to be. Number 4. In chapter 958, Odin, after visiting Laugh Tale, stated he will open Wano's border in 20 years' time to prepare for Joy Boy's return. And even Roger stated he was too early, but his son will be the one to find One Piece, fulfilling Joy Boy's will. Again, a specific timeline. There are many other hints indicating Joy Boy knew Imu's defeat will happen in the far future, but the one that takes the cake is of course the mural carved onto the Adam tree in Albath. Ripley stated that this was done during the Void Century by kids. The images shown also reflects the religious Harley text held by them, foretelling 3 distinct eras. The drawing on the right depicts the first world, whilst the drawing on the left depicts the second. Now, the text of the third world has yet to come, so there's no depiction of it yet. But the general concept and idea of prophecies is literally canon. Even Kaido believed he would be defeated by Joy Boy prior to Luffy manifesting this. And given that balls deep future sight actually exist, along with fortune tellers, prophetic books, and the mural, I'm pretty certain Joy Boy and his crew knew they would not be able to win against Imu after losing the Great War, but would eventually succeed by passing down their inherited will. Hence, Joy Boy, the first pirate to ever exist, the liberator of chains, focused his final energy in preparing the path for the future generation. Now that we clarified that there was indeed a prophecy with a determined timeline, we come to Joy Boy's preparation. You see, I'm certain when we get this flashback, it would be parallel to Orochi's reign over Wano, and how the samurais had to covertly initiate a rebellion. If you guys forgot to keep their plan subtle, they utilized special tattoos and markings which only their inner member would understand. This reflects back to the initial D. I believe that the early pirates of Joy Boy's crew only adopted the D after they had lost the war. Due to the betrayal which cost them everything, they had to keep things tight-knit for the future plan. Hence, a trusted few decided to take on the initial of D, representing their pirate crew and goal. D for the dream of everyone being equal and happy to live and eat under the one dawn. They would introduce themselves to each other with the D in their name, so those who knew its meaning would trust them. To me, it's pretty obvious as we have Ds from all across different races, so it's not inherently linked to a bloodline or a specific clan nor a nation. Jaguar D Sol and Lily are some prime examples. I doubt their father or ancestors had the D in their name, yet they adopted it. Lily likely did after her country joined the war, and once he learned about Imu's true motive, flood the world and create a new haven above. Arabasta's royalty was always with their people, so this was an outrageous idea, which is why Lily betrayed Imu and helped Joy Boy to prepare for the future. Once the poneglyphs were made, they were hidden all around the world, with Pluton being safeguarded in Wano, and then the remaining members of Joy Boy's crew, the clan of D, all went their way, holding on to the will of a new dawn, which now brings us to Davy D. Jones, the first of his kind, half fishman and half human. Hence why in chapter 1160 the Celestial Dragon stated Davy's family was hated even in his own time, with some questioning if they were buccaneers too, meaning another mixed race. Who knows, Davy Jones might even share a bloodline to Hody Jones. I know they have different family names, but do you guys not see the similarities between Hody and Blackbeard? Now, before you guys freak out, just listen, alright? Because his mixed race origin and connection to the Fishmen actually stems from Davy Jones' real-life mythology and story, one of which refers back to the written works of the 1944 Naval Ceremonies, Customs and Traditions, where Davy Jones is depicted part of King Neptune's court, enforcing the laws of the sea during the legendary equator crossing ceremony. Sailors imagined him as the one who summoned men to face judgment beneath Neptune's authority. Now, in One Piece, Neptune isn't a myth. He's the real king of Fishmen Island. So, if Oda is drawing from this same maritime folklore, then the legend of Davy Jones could actually trace back to the fish folks themselves. Think about it, 800 years ago, during the Void Century, the fish folk were already tied to the secrets of the sea, ancient weapons, and even Joy Boy's promise. We already know that the queen at that time, Poseidon, was seen as a sovereign. Likewise with Joy Boy. Now, I'm not saying this is the case, but maybe them two did something and they got a son, and the son somehow was Davy D. Nah, wait. I'm on to something, alright? I'm on to something. But even if it isn't Joy Boy's and Poseidon's child, just by going off this folklore, Davy Jones must have been an incredible warrior and pirate who had the ability to bring people down into the depths of the ocean, hence Davy Jones' locker. Oda also has been drawing inspirations from the Abrahamic traditions and Christology, where the concept of Davy Jones' locker is linked back to the ghost of the prophet Jonah, who was once swallowed by a whale. In the second chapter of the book of Jonah, the prophet prays for deliverance. This passage brought the idea of Jonah's locker, that is, the place where Jonah was confined. Hence why the bottom of the sea is Davy Jones' locker. Now, so far with these two real-life inspirations, we can assume Davy Jones was close to the royal court in Fishmen Island. He was also very much a prophetic figure. If Joy Boy represents a deity, then Davy was his right-hand man, or at least a huge follower. Joy Boy was going around liberating the enslaved from the pompous kingdoms around. For example, we know that the Tontatas had been oppressed 900 years ago by the Don Quixote family, so this was a common theme. Joy Boy dreamed of a new world where everyone could eat, drink, and party under one sun, regardless of race, traditions, and differences, which would then make it a lot of sense if Davy D. Jones was a huge advocate of this, especially if as a child he idolized Joy Boy, who would visit Fishmen Island time and time again, meeting the Queen Poseidon. But let's all be real here, yeah? Oda most definitely watched Pirates of the Caribbean, so yeah, Davy D. Jones is a fishman, alright? However, Jones would only make a name for himself after the Void Century and Joy Boy's death. During this era, the world's power drastically shifted into the hands of the newly appointed celestial government. In their initial run, the Marines were made up of trusted nations that would side with Emu, where any oppositions would have been further oppressed, chained up, forcefully governed, and if they were connected to Joy Boy's inner circle, then they would have been ethnically wiped out. This then brought the introduction of the heavenly tribute. Nations, to save themselves from this oppression, needed to pay a heavy tax, in turn leading to a huge influx of poverty and, of course, a new age of piracy. Unlike Joy Boy's era of the Peace Mains, which was to fight oppressive regimes of the evil 19 kingdoms and celestial dragon families, this was different. It was for pure survival, which in turn brought a lot of Morganian piracy. Pirates with no common goal. They would just plunder and sack anything they saw, even killing each other, having zero sense of unity. However, Davy D. Jones couldn't accept this, so he went out of his way to challenge Emu rather than waiting 800 years for some prophecy. The first thing Jones had to do was gather gold and various forms of wealth, along with a crew strong enough to challenge Emu's authority. Being part fishman, he had dominance over the sea against most humans, bringing about the Davy Back fights, a fun competition to unify other pirates under his banner. This brings us to a special devil fruit, and how Blackbeard will play his part. Remember, Xebec was a strong believer of his ancestor and must have learnt everything from Davy's journal. Rox had not been to Loftail, yet knew about Emu, the ancient weapon Pluton, hence his interest in the frozen Galila giants, and two powerful devil fruits which he believed was needed to take down the world government. One of them is the fruit Loki has eaten, and the other remains a mystery. But let's be real here, is either the Yami Yami no Mi or the Nika fruit. However, I'm betting my eggs on the Yami Yami no Mi, as Blackbeard waited around 26 years to find this one fruit. It's very likely that Davy Jones left his own message to his descendants on how to triumph against Imu. Everything Rocks required was written down. The Yami Yami no Mi's importance is also a no-brainer. Imu-sama is immortal, likely from the Ope Ope no Mi surgery. Imu also has the ability to extend and share his powers to his followers through a double contract. The Yami Yami no Mi completely counters this with the ability to absorb the effects of a devil fruit user, rendering them without their power. This worked even with a god fruit against Luffy. A lot of Imu's advantage actually hinges on their devil fruit. Sabo managed to escape 5 elders and Imu, which means that either Imu is just stupid or doesn't have the level of hockey compared to Joy Boy. Obviously in Elbaf you know Imu's hockey is busted, but not backbreaking. Davy Jones must have discovered this devil fruit and believed it was what gave him a fighting chance. However, the power of the soul fruit, which the giants possessed, was needed to deal the final damage. Davy Jones possessing the Yami Yami no Mi would also give an explanation to the legend of Davy Jones' locker, as the black hole swallows everything in sight, you know, like a locker, and then can be expelled when the user sees fit. In One Piece chapter 306, Robin explained how Davy Jones was cursed by a demon, you know, or a devil fruit, and now is said to live at the bottom of the sea floor. Being a legendary pirate of his time, any sunken ship or treasures get locked away in his locker. This concept worked with treasures too, so the rumors could have been started from then on. Now with that said, I still hold on to the existence of a Zoan demon spirit fruit, and like Xebec, Davy might have had that too, with it being his first power. Those of you who don't know this theory, it's basically if Xebec didn't have the Yami Yami no Mi, then he must have had a Zoan demon spirit fruit that once awakened allowed him to possess others, hence he is still alive in his son Blackbeard. One reason I believe this is because of Xebec's Jolly Roger, along with the idea that Blackbeard is more than one person, a trinity of a sort, each with their own unique characteristics: the father, the son, and the Zoan spirit, where the latter binds all 3 of them together. After Rock's death, the spirit of the Zoan kept him alive inside of his son, and now the spirit itself is its own person, leaving the father in Xebec and the son in Blackbeard to be distinct entities, allowing each of them to have a separate devil fruit. Basically, if you have this demon spirit fruit, you can eat another one without dying. The reason I'm bringing this up is because Davy Jones' real-life counterpart was said to be a ghostly figure, and his story later was combined with the ghost ship, the Flying Dutchman. With Jones awakening his double ghost fruit, his ship could have also exhibited ghost-like abilities, phasing through others or even being able to fly, hence the ship's name. In the world of One Piece, this ship actually exists and was captained by the Fishmen Vanderdecken. I don't think he was a bad guy. In fact, might have even been a D, you know, Vander D. Ekins. If he was after Jones' time, his story could have been that he found Davy's Flying Dutchman and learnt about the Void Century from the materials left on board. After learning the truth from Davy's journal, he went looking for Poseidon. We know he knew about her existence and the information was passed down to his own descendant. We also know that at some point, Ekin lost his mind killing his crewmate. It could be that Imu personally went looking for Jones' remains and family, but found Ekin's instead. Using his devil god fruit, Ekin was demonically possessed to kill everyone on board. Regardless, coming back to Davy Jones, whilst he was alive, he was the first great opposition to the newly formed government. Being a mixed race, his children must have also faced huge discrimination by the ethno-national autocratic state, who looked down upon anyone that was not from the same cloth as them. The Fishmen were lesser creatures, but Davy's family was even a greater abomination. He had no choice but to fight. Sadly, it didn't amount to much, and his family had to hide from persecution. Davy Jones' descendants were the first founders of the underworld, evading the government's control. Their family then made their base and home in God Valley, where sadly, 800 years later, Jones's clan would come to near extinction. Bringing us back to how Blackbeard will topple Imu and and get his revenge against the world that brought forth the worst times of his life. At 2 years old, he witnessed a massacre, a complete ethnic cleansing of his people. Very early on, he understood that the world is brutal, and along with an ambition that is fueled by a 800-year-old grudge, Blackbeard took the path to achieve his goals by any means necessary. He joined Whitebeard with the only purpose to find the Yami Yami no Mi, sadly even killing his own crewmate in the process. Next, he needed a strong and solid crew, and so sacrificed Ace, giving him the perfect opportunity to break into Impel Down and get them. Next, he needed powerful devil fruits for the final war, so he went fruit hunting, again killing others in the process. In Blackbeard's eyes, to create a new world where people can dream freely, he must first destroy the current world. Blackbeard will lead the charge against Emu along with Luffy. With the devil deity power stripped away, Luffy will then be able to finish the job. This is prophesized, and Emu somehow knows this, which is why we saw Emu-sama pinpoint the pictures of Blackbeard alongside Luffy, Vivi and Shirahoshi in the flower room. Everything Blackbeard is doing is for the final war, which they will win, but sadly his personal grudge might mess things up for him. At some point in the past, he surprised attacked Shanks and gave him the scar across his eyes. My guy obviously wants to kill the Forgarlands, likely his entire family, for what they done to his own family. Hence, there is a high probability that he will end up killing Shanks in the near future. After Emu is toppled, Blackbeard's motive would be to take charge and replace him, giving us a final fight between Luffy, Sabo, Yamato against Blackbeard. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I really do want Blackbeard to be part of the final fight and give importance to the Yami Yami no Mi as it deserves.